Hello and welcome to Season 3, Episode 25 of The Dive. I am Kobe, joined by the OG Dive cast members.
He's
back.
Thanks, man. It's good that I get to come in just as the summer split's heating up. We got one more week to see who's actually eliminated. Already cutting out teams at the bottom. Good stuff.
Already making cuts. For the record, Jad is not committing to full-time Dive just yet.
He's not sure he loves us enough.
Yeah. Still getting back into the swing of things as
in.
far as casting and everything else involved with his job. So it's been fun.
Yeah, but it's good to have you back. It's been
back.
Quite a while. Were you on any episodes this year? I guess you were on episodes before the LCS.
I was on. I did power rankings.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys ever saw if they sucked or not. I haven't checked in. Those are like the spring split power rankings.
That's all I remember.
Your power rankings are actually usually pretty good.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Doing pretty well.
That's
in
the
stock
one
market
compliment
too.
you get this show.
Oh,
but yeah, and then I did a MSI episode when you had flown out for the.
Oh,
for the
yeah, I totally forgot about
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And that's so I've done like 3
Okay.
of
Cool.
25.
Well, number 4.
Basically all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically the same. Good. Well, yeah, it's good to have you back. It's cool. It's been a while since we've had the OG crew. This is how it all started out, but feels good. First, top of the show, Pantheon reveal. You said you've already played it, so maybe you want to give us your thoughts?
Wow, man. Yeah, I actually played him a fair bit during development. Probably got about 10 Pantheon games in. So his kit is out. There was a reveal video. I think he's on PBE. So if you have a
he's
PBE
super
account, you
ripped
can go
now.
play him. Yeah, it's a visual upgrade, Kobe. What do you expect?
He definitely
He's
got a
been hitting
visual.
the gym.
He upgraded a lot. No, I like playing him a lot. Obviously, though, when you're playing in dev champions, their balance varies wildly. So when he was real strong, I had a lot of fun. But specifically, like I played him jungle. I really liked the choices you had between which ability you can empower. So for those who aren't familiar, his Q is now. It's actually simple when you play it, but describing it is kind of complicated. If you tap it, it's a short-range Q skill shot. If you hold it, it's a long-range throw. And then his passive, instead of it being a thing where after like 5 attacks, you block the next attack, after 5 attacks, your next ability is empowered. So empowering the Q makes it do like execute damage. Empowering the W gives you 3 quick hits after you stun him. And then his E is twice as long if it's empowered. And the coolest part of the kit to me is actually the directional invulnerability you get from the E. Also, probably if something breaks him, like it's probably going to be the directional invulnerability. But it's really fun, at least when I was playing it. And I would just build glass cannon and then E at people really fast with a bunch of lethality.
Yeah, the invulnerability shield thing looks really cool because he places down this like super shiny shield basically, and I mean that's mainly the reason why so many people are excited for this is he just looks so cool now. So I feel like we will find out very quickly whether he is broken or not because he's gonna be either picked or banned in every single solo queue game for the next week.
Yeah, he's definitely going to get played a lot. Did you guys try any sort of like Braum Pantheon stuff? Because I immediately just thought like for team fighting, when you're talking about this like directional invulnerability and then you have unbreakable and whatnot too. Like I'm not sure exactly how the cooldowns work or if you can get multiple rotations off.
Shields up team.
Yeah, I mean it sounds pretty strong if you can just shut it out. I almost want to throw a Yasuo in there too. You got Windwall and then you get the block and then you have other shield.
Just have a shield rotation. Have them like switch spots. Okay, now you go. Now you go.
Especially because Pantheon can actually sit around the outside of a fight and like throw charged up Qs, even though when you charge it up, it doubles the cooldown on it, so it's not like super spammable or anything. No, I didn't. I never tried it with like Yasuo and Braum.
That sounds actually.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things that maybe it's just too like you're overthinking it way too much, and it's not actually good. But in my head, I'm like, ooh, their AD can never attack. This sounds nice.
I mean, you can still hit the person behind you. It's not like a projectile.
Oh, okay.
It just means if you hit him and his shield is facing you, it doesn't
I thought it was like working like Braum shield, where it was you could stand in between.
Yeah.
Okay,
if it was also a wind wall. Woo,
yeah, that's what I thought it was. I was like, this is insane.
Yeah.
I take it all back.
Yeah.
The Braum Pantheon comp.
All right, it's not insane anymore.
Yeah. You got to be really careful about when you use your E because there's definitely like a want to just jump into a fight and then immediately just like E towards people. Except if you don't kill them, you have nothing left. So There's a lot of depth in reading the team fight properly of like when to burst and when to like go in. Hopefully I'm not losing people who haven't played the character because it's like all very clear in my head. But you go in with full passive stacks. Tell me if you follow this, Kobe. W them. So then you get 3 quick autos, which stacks your passive to 3. Then you auto tap Q.
When you say, because you're just using the same language, E, W, and stuff like that, and
So his abilities are the same. Like Q, W, E,
Okay.
R. It's like Q's still a spear, W's still a jump stun, E's still a little speary thing. So you jump in with your empowered W, which means you auto attack 3 quick times.
Yeah.
That starts charging your passive.
Got it.
Then
I'm
auto,
with you.
Then you auto them once, you tap Q, and then your passive is full again.
The Q sounds like Pike Q,
Yeah.
right? Where
A little,
he can quick stab you or
Yeah, or hold it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once you've done that, your passive's back up again, and then you E and just walk away for 3 seconds because you're invulnerable.
So it's directional. Can you like move the direction afterwards, or to pick the direction? It's
So yeah,
that.
it's like
Braum.
it's the same way as Braum. You pick your
Okay.
direction, and then you get to move all around
yeah.
in that direction.
Okay, yeah.
Can we do demonstrating
Just
that
a little
again?
bit around the microphone.
Yeah.
But mostly just forward or back.
So yeah, I'm glad we get the audio moving
Yeah.
around for the
Yeah. they'll be like,
podcast
what's
only.
happening with that audio?
Yeah. That was some directional audio. I
Anyway,
like
it's fun. I'm cool. I think it's cool that he's coming out soon. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, he looks really exciting. Definitely interested to play him. Do you think he's more of a jungler or do you think he's a laner?
Totally depends on the balance.
Okay.
His like damage fall off to jungle camps got changed a lot to try
Oh,
and make
okay.
him like fairly balanced between both roles.
So is that the goal though? Because I know sometimes the
That's what
champion
they
will
said.
come out
That's
and
what they
they're
said
like,
in the video.
no, go to the
Yeah.
jungle.
And obviously, like I'm not the balance consult for the project, and I'm not the designer on the project,
yeah.
so I can't give the definitive role for whatever any of this stuff is. That's definitely to those guys.
Just your impression.
Yeah,
Well-
my impression is that he's probably going to be played in both roles. I just don't know where he's going to be strongest.
And if they have a champion rework and they remove one of his roles, people will be pissed.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure that is not a goal, because Pantheon is such an old champion.
I'm just thinking.
I as a jungler, I'm like, you're not taking away my jungle champion. So
Yeah.
or like they definitely don't want to piss that many people.
I mean,
off.
they've definitely done that though before, right? Graves was an ADC, and then it was no longer an
Yeah.
ADC.
It's long ago.
Yeah.
Zale. That was 3.
I mean,
or
even
4
Kale. I
years
used to play
ago.
jungle Kale. You can't play jungle Kale anymore.
There's a
Yeah, but that
there's
wasn't a
new Kale
main
thing
role
on the
for
PB.
Kale.
No.
Yeah, there's a new Kale thing on the PB.
Yeah, I saw. I'm excited. I think you get range at 6 now.
Yeah.
That sounds good to me.
We'll see.
Yeah, August has been tweeting about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So-
just want him to take the cast time off the ultimate,
Does
and
this
then I'll start
mean-
playing Kale again.
I should probably know this. Does this mean Pantheon comes out in 9/16? Because if he hits PBE during the 9/15 cycle, it's usually the next patch.
That's what I would assume is 9/16. Definitely excited to try it out. Looks super cool.
You know what else?
Graphically super cool. The ultimate also is pretty hype.
Yeah, because it looks like you get a bigger area too.
Yeah.
Because it is in a line.
Yeah, you should use it behind people instead of the circle. I think the timing is about the same as the old Pantheon ultimate, but you can also do stuff like if you're trying to steal Dragon, you just ult in right over top of the pit, so everyone
Smite.
thinks Pantheon's coming, and they see the huge ultimate, and then you're just not there, and then you throw a spear at them from over the pit and stuff. So
That's
there's some fun stuff you can do.
Yeah, it seems also just like one of the things that feels really bad late game with Pantheon is you miss your ult a little bit, right? And like especially in a meta where there's so many champions that have dashes, it feels sometimes really easy for them to escape from this. If this feels like with the placement of it, you could place like along a lane and very consistently hit it, I would think. I don't know if that's actually true having played it, but at least it appeared to me like, oh yeah, I'm actually going to be able to hit this consistently.
I actually really liked the danger of the old Pantheon ultimate and the feeling of like, once the thing is down, you're going in.
I
And
mean, you're still going in.
trying to like spam flash as the thing is landing, like, oh no, now there's traps and everything down there, or and like trying to instantly.
Now you're
flash
going
and jump
behind
away.
them, so you're in deeper.
Yeah, I like that adrenaline rush of the drop
Yeah.
down from the old Pantheon ultimate. So I hope it doesn't lose that.
Yeah.
The rest of the patch, though, by the way, for 9.15 is fairly simple. Looks like a lot of just small number adjustments, which was kind of the idea, right? They wanted to make a lot of big changes on 9.14 and then slowly kind of whittle them down and work on them to get towards playoffs and worlds, competitive patches ready. The one like spicy thing that I was looking for was the Malphite buffs. I used to jungle Malphite like 3 or 4 years ago, way before Scuttle Crab existed. Scuttle Crab is the thing that is holding me back, but this made me want to try it again. There's still no reasonable answer I have for the Scuttle Crab besides smiting it or just taking a super long time to do it though. So that's still kind of pushing me off, but I'm going to give it a shot. I like jungling weird things.
Have you thought about playing him top lane?
I don't play anything but jungle chat. Unless I get autofilled, and then I usually play Renekton.
Yeah. I tried a jungle. Seemed okay.
Really? What'd you do with Scuttle Crabs? Just smite him? Call your laner to come stun it?
You just slowly
You just didn't do them?
If he's not a meta jungler, then I don't know. There's no secret to Scuttle Crab.
This is like Fiddlesticks. Fiddlesticks is a jungler and still can't kill the Scuttle Crab. You start life draining it, it just walks away.
The bigger thing for the Malphite jungle is the fact that the slow got increased on Q. Because if that slow gets high enough, you can actually pre-6 gank.
Do you think 5% is enough to change that?
No.
Yeah, neither do I.
I think he's good top.
But
I think if you play him top and you max W against a physical damage thing, pre-Malphite rework, the W max was basically the same win rate as a Q or an E max. And now it has an auto attack reset and more upfront damage. And your Q also makes you faster if you max W into Q, and you'll get to 200 or 300 armor very quickly. I think that's the best thing for Malphite. And if you're up against like a Jace or a Poppy or something, or an Aatrox, I think you can just beat him with W max Malphite.
Yeah.
Well, looks like I'm playing Kha'Zix then. He got 10 damage. I'll take that.
The only other change that looked like it maybe is interesting is I was kind of curious about like how the Galio passive change would work out being affected by CDR.
Yeah.
Because that's potentially 40% off of your passive cooldown, and like the slam is a lot of damage when you did go AP. So I'm not sure how much of a difference that's actually going to make, and if it'll matter enough for your wave clear and things like this. But it at least was like, oh, that could be interesting.
Yeah, I will probably get flamed for talking about Galio, but because basically everyone on Reddit thought he got totally murdered on the last patch.
Yeah.
And one thing I want to say about that is he was already borderline unplayable in solo queue because of the nerfs he received for pro. So it's not, I don't think Galio was in a place where just putting power back into him was going to somehow make him good in solo queue, because he was already ceilinged by pro really hard. So removing the mechanic does allow to put more power back in. Now, so few people even tried him after the W flash was gone that it's like no good Galio players are even trying. If you want to try him, I have some tips.
Okay.
Are you going to play top lane? Are you down for some top lane tank Galio?
Well,
I mean, I could try it.
Yeah.
So
Probably.
I think that part of the reason why not as many people wanted to try him afterward is because the fun part of like the flash engage is gone, right? Yeah, he's stronger. He does more damage with his abilities, but maybe the combinations are just not as interesting.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But so specifically this Galio with the passive being on such a short cooldown absolutely tells you to go tank, because you're trying to get multiple passive procs in the same fight, and it's no longer bursty, because previously it's like you could charge up your W, taunt them, hit them, use 2 spells, that resets your passive, hit them again, right? Can't do
Jungle tank Galio. That's going to be my spicy pick. All right, now I'm in there.
Not sure if that worked, but go for it.
You just power farm and you counter gank with your ultimate.
Anyway, like what you can actually do now, because his mana costs have been decreased so much and his base mana was increased so much, you don't have to build a mana item. So if you're up against... You can rush Iceborne or rush Abyssal Mask or
both
Iceborne. I was gonna say.
Yeah, I'm trolling. No, you can rush Adaptive Helm would be the bigger thing against like a magic damage dealer or
Sunfire.
Yeah,
maybe
Sunfire. You could, even though you actually want the CDR.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
So you'll end up building a mana item anyway. So you'd like Frozen Heart or
But you don't have.
But you don't have to do a mana item.
Just make a Kindle Gem. That's not rushing a mana item.
Yeah. Anyway, like Aftershock tank Galio top can do well. Like and when you are tanky late game, the passive doing like. The old version of Galio's base damage was like something like 15 to 90, and now it's 15 to 200. So
that sounds pretty cool.
He hits pretty hard. Maybe
I'll give him
he's
a shot.
Clearly not for everyone, but literally I just don't even think people are trying him.
Yeah.
So I think he's actually. I found a lot of success with him playing him tank.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I haven't really been playing any tanks lately, but maybe I'll give him a shot just for you.
Yeah, tanks also kind of suck, so I don't blame you in that.
Yeah, I think I'd rather play Kled.
Yeah.
Or Jax.
I'm definitely gonna try him. I can taunt the Scuttle Crab. It's all lining up.
Can you taunt the Scuttle Crab?
If I can't taunt the Scuttle Crab, I'm
you can punch it.
I can still
you can punch it.
You can punch it.
Can you not taunt it?
I don't know if the taunt works on minions.
You're making me scared.
Minions and monsters. Probably not.
Monsters are different though. I feel like you can taunt the Scuttle Crab. No?
I mean, I can check.
Shen can taunt it.
That's true.
Are
That was,
all
like,
taunts not
specifically
created
changed.
equal?
No. What have you learned about skills and being created equal? Shield of Durand.
This is good. This is
Charges
the
for 3
determining moment.
seconds. Man, this is a complicated spell.
I can still punch it. It's
Taunts nearby enemies.
fine. Yeah. See?
What is it?
Scuttle Crab is an enemy. Scuttle Crab is
He's
not
neutral.
your friend.
No, he's neutral. He's like Switzerland.
Dang it. All right. Well, we might just go back to Kazakhstan. 10 damage. I'll take that.
Take what you can get.
What else do you think as far as pro play? The Rumble nerf is pretty big. The Xerath one seemed interesting to me because we have not seen, obviously, a Xerath in a very long time.
Yeah.
But maybe with 5,000 range, you can like half roam to one of the side lanes and throw off a couple ultimates bottom or something to help kill a support.
Yeah, maybe if you wanted to try and play him into a Corki or a Zir. I just don't know if that lane matchup is decent enough. It
Yeah,
used to
I
be,
mean,
like,
the
a
only
splitting
thing is the R range, so it's not like a big change to the champion, except for maybe roaming.
Xerath used to be considered fairly decent into his ear.
Yeah.
Because you are someone who can actually
Any poke.
range. Yeah, exactly. Vel'Koz as well has been played for that. But yeah, the range is interesting. I mean, 1800 range at level 6, that's the big deal, right? So it's like the later ranks already had a lot of range. Level 16 actually had more range. Level 11 was 600 less. But at level 6, maybe if you can pull off those roams and stuff, but it feels like dangerous to be roaming kind of on Xerath anyway. But it would be interesting. I know you were talking, Jed, about earlier. You wanted to talk about some of the kind of 914 changes and some of the things that you had felt like those had an effect on LCS.
Yeah. So this morning I looked into champions that got changed in 914 and then what that actually did to the pro presence from 913 to 914. So like the Yuumi nerfs didn't affect the Yuumi presence at all. So Yuumi will probably end up getting nerfed on 916, and it'll still be a huge part of the meta for LCS playoffs, because LCS playoffs for us are going to be on 915, and I believe LEC, since they're doing their playoffs later, are going to be on 916. So we're going to have a little bit of a difference between those two leagues.
When they're trying to nerf something like Yuumi, that is, like 100% pro presence, what is the ideal presence that they're aiming for? Because they're not aiming to completely remove it, right?
Yes. So it depends on the champions, and it also depends on which skill bracket they're trying to make that champion like best in. So a lot of times you'd want a champion to be equally representative across all 4 skill brackets, like average, skilled, elite, and pro. A lot of times that's either just not possible because you're changing the essence of the character too much, or if every character was like that, the game would actually be pretty boring, right? It's like, oh yeah, literally just play anything anywhere. So Yuumi, most of the changes have been trying to make Yuumi not suck for average and skilled while not being red in pro. And red in pro is anything that is greater than 80% presence across 2 patches. So for Yuumi, the changes they were trying to do were like win rate neutral, because the win rate's actually already fairly low in solo queue, like 46 or 48 or something. I don't remember exactly. And hoping to drop the presence below 80%.
Okay.
She's at 96.
Yeah.
So probably needs more nerfs.
Interesting. Yeah. What is, just for clarification, so what is what are the defined brackets then for average, skilled, elite?
Yeah. If anyone is additionally curious about this, there was a life of a patch thing where we talked about the champion balance framework, but basically, so or yes, what are the brackets?
Yeah.
So there's majority play or average play, which is basically anything not above plat. So it's like the bulk 90% of players.
Okay.
And like within that, there's, if to be considered like playable in average, you have to have a greater than 49% win rate. And you're too good in that bracket. And this does kind of get updated throughout time, but I think the last I checked it was if you're greater than 54% win rate, you're OP. But if you're banned depending on like a sliding scale, your win rate can't be as high.
Mm-hmm.
So like a 53% champion win rate who's banned all the time is like, oh, the majority of people think this champ's OP, so they're banning it. Probably OP, and it actually is because it's significantly above 50%. But if there's like a 53% champion that no one cares about, you're not just going to nerf it out of the blue.
Okay.
Skilled has slightly tighter brackets, so it's like highest 253.5%. That's anything from the top 10% of players up. Elite is basically Masters plus,
Okay.
and that uses just presence percentage because there's not enough sample size to do win rate. And then Pro is the top 5 competitive regions.
Okay. Cool.
Across the patch. Yeah. So that's it.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it actually was super cool. That was one of the funnest things I got to work on while I was in design.
Yeah, that's definitely cool. But you still were going, I think, on some of the other meta changes.
Oh yeah, sorry. That was
Kobe
You got anything?
sidetracked you.
Well, you just asked the question about all the framework.
yeah. The framework is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think pro teams should be paying more attention to the framework as well, because they can see what the presence of the pick is, and like, I wonder if this is going to get nerfed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Yeah.
Anyway, so Lux fell 58% in presence from 82 to 24. The interesting one that I think is worthy of discussion is the Aatrox change, because Aatrox was at 67, fell 13% to 54. But it definitely felt like that was the champion.
That's worldwide, right?
This is top 5.
This is top 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking at it right now in Games Loaded.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because in NA, Aatrox was like 80% or something. We love our Aatrox.
We love our Aatrox. And I think it's really cool in situations like this because it challenges the teams to make reads on whether a pick is good or not. Something I definitely noticed when I was trying to nerf champions out of pro is, in order to actually get it out of pro, you usually have to actually overkill the champion, because teams have put so many games into it. They know all the compositions that they want to play it in. They're used to
comfortable.
drafting about it. And then they're almost waiting for this like worldwide consensus that, oh yeah, you shouldn't play him anymore. And even someone like Urgot, when he got like really nerfed in the spring and went down to, I think, a 43% win rate in solo queue, Griffin was still playing it because they were so comfortable on it. But this Aatrox change, I think, had such a sticker shock from, oh my God, he can't revive ever again, even though he did have compensation buffs. So you actually had different teams coming to different conclusions about whether or not it was strong or bad, and that had actual implications on LCS standings. Like the weirdest thing was Optic, who had crushed with Aatrox 2 games in a row in the previous week on the previous patch, gave it up to the other team and got blasted twice by it. So it's just, it puts teams in a like actual analytical situation where they can't just look to their left and right and see what other people are doing. I think that's cool.
Yeah, this is definitely
Yeah,
interesting.
those are the types of balance changes that have a lot of value, right?
Yeah, champion's still playable. Champion's not clearly playable. Decide what you're best at.
'Cause I feel like there's a lot of team analysts that are super guilty of this, where they just copy stuff from around the world. And this actually puts to the test, and will prove which sorts of people actually put in the time to test these sorts of things, because that's one of the biggest discrepancies I feel like right now between a lot of teams is support staff. The players spend so much time practicing these comps and these champions that are set, that they need to come to the players with things for the new patch ready, right? You have to come with theories about what is going to be good and what is going to be bad and how to use them.
Yeah. And for what it's worth, Aatrox in NA, 91% presence on 914.
Yeah,
Oh, baby.
see?
So
That's high.
So still played pretty much nonstop. The only one higher is Yumi.
So, yeah, I wonder where he wasn't played then. Like, which region dropped him?
Almost all the other regions dropped some percentage.
Right.
It was interesting to me because there were a couple of teams in NA, like you're saying, that did drop the priority, but there were so many that didn't. Those teams were always playing a team that still had Aatrox priority.
Right. So he always got picked.
Our Aatrox would get like picked on red side or something like that. So presence is measured as bans or picks. And so there's always a team willing to pick it early on in the draft phase as well. So it was actually pretty funny to see because you also have the super extreme fan reactions afterwards that are all results driven. Like, oh my God, you got smashed by Aatrox again? Oh my God, you didn't pick the champion that we were winning with before?
Yeah. How could you not do that? It's like, well, there's clearly a lot of
the rest of the world,
different opinions around the world.
Yeah,
like
the rest
LPL
of the world dropped it.
Dropped in 34%. And I've gotten reached out to, I think, by some people whenever I was talking about like Sona and how Sona is so much more prevalent in NA and EU and how it's not in LCK or LPL. And that is not meant to be derogatory towards NA. It's literally just to say, hey, this is actually a regional difference, and you get to see whose meta is right if there are differences when you reach international events, right? It could actually be a huge advantage to NA if they realize Aatrox is good and he's actually better than what other people realize. So
yeah, I want to say that was the CLG MSI where they kind of set the meta a little bit with range supports.
Yeah, that's when they were doing the stick. This is a long time ago, but it was like 2015 MSI where they were playing a lot of Caitlyn and no one else was playing Caitlyn. That was the
and then
big
they brought out
MSI.
Sona and stuff. And
Nami, Sona.
Yeah, so like range supports actually kind of became the standard. So yeah, it definitely doesn't mean that it is wrong. You know, kind of inversely, there was the other side where I always find it interesting where there's a pick that I'm pretty sure is really strong and has been for a long time, and no one tries it, and then it gets some little nothing buff, and everyone's like, yeah, this is overpowered.
Yeah.
It's like Kled doesn't have incredible presence, but Kled started getting a lot of picks. And I actually think that the healing debuff change in most of Kled matchups means almost nothing. Like it's only on the Q2. It's only on the second part, the bear trap and the rope pull, that you apply this healing debuff. Against Aatrox or something like that, it's very good, right? There are situationally, times where it matters, but in a lot of matchups, it actually doesn't matter at all. And it's just interesting to me that, when sometimes these little changes, like even things that, popped up in 9.15, a lot of the patch notes don't actually look big whatsoever. But sometimes these tiny little things make players try it again, and then just make players realize, oh, it's actually just good. We can play this.
Yeah. Kled went from a 2% presence to a 19% presence.
Yeah.
So whenever something goes from unplayed to that played, I'm expecting it to continue to go up. Because as you mentioned, like the teams that were playing Kled, a lot of them kind of sucked at it.
Yeah.
Right? They didn't know how to engage as a team. They didn't really play the laning phase properly because Kled's another one of those picks that you have to actually play around to be successful. And you have to build your team and style to that way. So if that champion is actually like worthy of being 100% pick ban, there's going to be a long lag before it gets there because teams have to adjust their play styles to be able to take advantage.
And there's a lot of unique mechanics. You have the dismount mechanic. You have the passive W vicious strikes mechanic.
Go watch Zale's tips. It's on YouTube.
You have the ultimate.
So many more,
you have
but
the
I didn't have
ultimate that you
time.
have to coordinate. Like there's, it's not a champion where you're just like, all right, it's Kled time now. After 2 years of not playing it or something.
It's so easy. They can't heal.
I have a test for you then. This is gonna be fun. Since we're flaming a lot of team analysts that were being lazy.
I'm not blaming them.
No, I was.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I was like, wait a second, don't put that in my mouth.
I will, because I think there are a lot that are lazy. Qiyana, the E no longer will guarantee the damage, right? So you can flash or dash 250 units out of the range to avoid the guaranteed Qiyana E Q combo, basically, right?
You're going to avoid the E damage. The Q will still hit you.
Okay. Our cooldown also increased by 20 seconds at rank 1, but reduced at rank 3. Do you think this is enough to knock her down? I noticed that LPL was playing a ton of Qiyana, and they won almost all of their games on it. We tried, or at least Clutch tried. Is that actually the only team? No, there's one other team.
Niski had a really good game.
There was the Niski for Cloud9. Do you think that with this extra time, we will see more NA/LCS Qiyana, or with the nerfs now on 9.15?
Buzzing in.
She's splatted.
More. Yes, because
even with the nerfs coming in.
I think so. Because I think it's just people, like everyone that I talked to had come to the consensus that this is actually an incredibly strong champion, but high skill cap, and people felt like they needed time to actually kind of to get it going. I think that there's a lot of other players in the league that can suit that sort of play style, that are really talented mechanical players and should play it. Like there's no reason that Jensen and Bjergsen and these guys can't or shouldn't be playing it. I think we're going to be seeing more people pick it up. I don't think the nerfs are like so big that it should erase the champion.
It's interesting that you mentioned Jensen, because I feel like he is one of the ones where I would think that it would be very slow to pick it up, because he has seemed very unwilling or slow, or maybe doesn't think it's good or something to go for a lot of these melee assassin styles. It even took him a super long time to actually start playing the Akali, at least at international events. I don't know if that's a Team Liquid thing, because the team identity of Team Liquid does seem more like long-range backline DPS. So it could be a team strategy, but he was actually one of the players, at least Team Liquid, whoever's choice it is, him or the teams, where I would say,
do you think
probably don't see a lot of Qiyana?
Do you think up or down? And how are we judging?
Total?
How are we judging
across the league?
Yeah. Is it like, are we doing across NA? Are we doing global?
I just said for NA.
For NA.
Just NA. And we haven't had that much, because it's only been Demonte and Niski.
Yeah, so I'm saying more for sure. I mean, the Jensen thing is interesting. Like Akali, to be fair, is his most played, right?
Yeah, now it is. But it took him a super long time to jump on the, like, even when we had all of these solo lane flexible assassins, Team Liquid is notorious for not playing a lot of these flexible picks.
So my impression was certainly, and from like one time Jensen was actually talking about this on his stream, and my impression is that it's more of like a team style thing, that they have him play what they think is best for the team, because he was telling a story on his stream, essentially about how he wanted to play Zed and thinks Zed is really good, but that like essentially Niski played it and did poorly, and then his analysts were like, oh no, the pick sucks, and he's like, no, the pick doesn't suck, Niski just sucked at it.
That's why he got slammed by Qiyana last week, because he needed to convince his analysts to allow him to play it.
See, now it's going to be Qiyana every game.
He's laying the groundwork. So he learned from the Zed experience. I like it. Okay. Yeah. We've solved a mystery.
That's the takeaway here. But I mean, he used to play a lot of stuff, right? Like he had his Echo games. He has had like, those kind of style of champions. So it'll be interesting. I think Jensen is like an extremely talented mechanical player, so I think he certainly can play that sort of stuff. But to be fair, to your point, maybe TL doesn't want to play that style, because they have stuck very much with more like team fight based and kind of more of a slower gameplay.
Yeah. So I think looking at the trends, Qiyana was actually less picked and banned last week than the week before in NA.
Yep.
Globally, it has gone up.
And it's getting nerfed now. That's why I'm presenting this.
I know, you're presenting it with the nerf.
Zell thinks up.
So I think globally it will go up. I'm not sure about NA, because that depends on the team styles. Since
come on, we know these team styles better than the other teams.
I know. It's whether or not you are good and willing to play through your mid lane. Because if you do not put a lot of attention mid for Qiyana, Qiyana actually gets pushed in and loses most matchups. But the instant you get a jungler there, you just get kill after kill, because the EQ is so guaranteed. And even if you're dodging the damage from the E, you're still going to get rooted by water Q, right? Even if you flash. So the presence should continue up. So I'm going up.
All right. He's on
I'm
up
going
too.
up for number 15.
We're all aboard the Qiyana train with nerfs coming in this batch.
What's your prediction as well then?
So it's like a 40% mid lane presence champion.
Yeah.
But the majority of the presence is still bans, which to me suggests there is a number of teams that lack the familiarity but respect the power.
Yeah.
So given time, they will pick it as well, which will increase the presence.
All right, I'll give you my analysis. I think this is a very small nerf, and I think the champion is much stronger than this nerf is going to take her down. So I also think it should go up. And that's what I think that it will.
Okay, there we go.
So we're all on the same page.
Kind of sweet. Also,
so we live or die together.
I mean, EU even got to play it in the jungle.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think that's optimal, but I do like the possibility that it is flexible if you come, if you have to, right? Late in draft phase. Right? It's always nice to have that option with the solo.
I think only if you have to. I think there's a number of junglers I'd rather have.
Because again, especially in pro play, like anytime you have a jungler that needs money for damage.
Yeah.
And this is like a carry
and
jungler.
that clear speed ain't great either. So,
yeah.
But at the same time, Camille jungle was a thing for a while. So sometimes if you just have good ganks, it's enough.
It was a very big thing for an international event, even after it had dropped off in a lot of other pro plays. So.
True.
All right, let's
pop up.
Jump into LCS then. Moving on. Playoffs on the horizon. We're going into week 9. Realistically speaking, there's 4 teams fighting for the last 2 spots. Golden Guardians, the Optic are 8-8. Clutch and 100 Thieves 7-9. Who you guys think is going to get those final spots, or do you think that there is someone on the outside of those 4 teams who could get in or drop out?
I think it's 100% between the 4 that you just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
The 4 teams that are at 8-8 versus 7-9, and if TSM loses to FlyQuest, then you have to start sweating for them as well, even though they're technically 9-7 and haven't clinched yet.
I think TSM fans have been sweating for a couple weeks now.
Yeah, but they still have 9 wins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
But he's still sweating.
I know. I was talking to Azale about this before the show. So how do you want to do this? Do you want to just go from the 9-7 teams down to the 7-9 teams?
Sure.
And talk about them?
Or you can, if you want, you can just kind of make your choices of who you think is going to get in, and we can debate.
Are we assuming TSM's in?
Well, that's your choice.
They play FlyQuest and Team Liquid. So I would assume that is 1 win, 1 loss. But with the way that last week went, FlyQuest actually, they just drafted super straightforward comp. They had 3 engagers, 2 big damage dealers.
Yeah, I think
it could easily be 0-2.
I think it's absolutely possible they go 0-2. Even with that, they're still probably in playoffs. Like, they have to have a series of unfortunate events to not make playoffs, so they're most likely in. But I still want to take like a small minute to talk about TSM, since it does seem like there is so much conversation about them. Because that's kind of the question of how long until TSM figures it out. Because we saw a Doublelift interview where he said, I'm actually glad that they're not just doing the same old and getting smashed, because I think for TSM, right after Rift Rivals, where they got destroyed by the top 3 European teams, they actually decided that they needed to modify their playstyle a bit, and they've clearly been experimenting. If you look at Bjergsen's champion pool on TSM, it seems like he just picks something new every game, or Twisted Fate into Corki. Aside from the Twisted Fate, he picks something.
A lot of AD Twisted Fate here.
But to me, they look pretty out of sorts, and I think people should worry about it. But at the same time, I feel like if I look at history, we were saying this about TSM in 2014, and we were saying it about them in 2015. They very often have these middling seasons where they end 4th or 5th, and then until a couple years ago, they would pull it together and make a run to finals. Because they didn't do that in 2018, I think the confidence is correctly lower for them. But yeah, basically, I'm saying if I had to actually guess right now, I would say they probably make it to Detroit. But I wouldn't be completely shocked if they didn't make playoffs, if that makes sense, right? Like, I think they have a decent chance of pulling it together, as terrible as they look.
Yeah. So, Detroit is just top 4 because
Detroit is top 4.
Yeah, exactly. Because we are having a 3rd place match this. So I definitely wouldn't be surprised.
So that would be
made top
make
4,
playoffs as well as win the first round.
Yeah, that wouldn't shock me by any means. I think I would be very surprised if they didn't make playoffs, just because it seems like I'm betting on them going 1-1, and then even if they go 0-2, then all this other stuff has to happen. So I think they're going to make playoffs. But when I talk about TSM, like I always feel like you have to set expectations based on them having been like the most historically successful team for so long in North America, and based on even the stated expectations of the players and the staff and the team is that they're looking for international success, right? Not just North America, and that is what they have been going for. That is what they've always talked about for all these years. Mm-hmm. And looking at it through that lens, are you on that level now? Are you good enough to compete on the international level? Yeah, I think it's not even close. And you talk about like when are they gonna fix it by, or when is it gonna be fixed by? I don't think it's gonna be this year. It's 5 weeks in a row now. They have gone 1-1. at the start of that, well, I guess after the first week, 1 week, they went to Rift Rivals, got absolutely trashed. This is like 6 weeks essentially of not very impressive stuff. A lot of their wins have not been dominant. A lot of their losses have been unimpressive. It's like, you're almost losing to Echo Fox. You're kind of like having some very difficult losses as well. It feels like they don't really know what they're doing, and I don't want to like pin it on any one person or any one player, because I think there's issues all across the board.
But
no, I'm actually not, because I think that they have so many problems.
Get them, Jack.
yeah,
I think that they actually just have so many issues that it's not any one person's problem. Like even just looking at last week, maybe there's something in scrims that showed them that TF was working well into Corki. After the first game, they died 2v2, right? And that was kind of the answer that was given from Smoothie in his interview post-game. He was saying, well, things went bad around mid lane. That's why it was a tough game. But then the second game, there was no jungle interference at all. And Bjergsen was still stuck under his turret in this Corki versus TF matchup that he picked into for the second day in a row, not able to ult anywhere, not able to do anything. So, like, I don't understand what's happening there as far as the pick. I don't understand what's happening with their draft. Like, they have one of the worst early games in the league. They're 8th as far as goal differential in the league at 10. They are not converting that especially well later on in the game, or like being really dominant in the late game to make up for that. So it honestly just feels like they're a fairly middling team, right? As demonstrated by 5 weeks in a row, 5-5, and I think that that's really disappointing to see from a team that I thought was perhaps the best team in the league last split. Towards the end of the split, they were playing so damn well, and they had to get reverse swept by TL, who's won 3 straight times and then went to MSI finals. It's like I just am shocked at the fact that this team is so underperformed compared to my expectations.
All right, what do they need to do to turn it around?
I don't think it's a simple answer, because it seems like there's drafting problems. It seems like there's execution problems, and this late in the split, I feel like unless there's like the magic formula, right? It feels like it's not going to be turned around to me when it's been this long of this level of performance, unless really truly they can just find some sort of like easy change. Like, all right, now we're actually only going to play around Bjergsen. All right, we're going to only do this, and if that fixes it, great, because they have the talented players, they have individually great players, but they're not working well together.
Yeah,
they're not performing individually. Their drafts haven't felt great to me either.
Yeah.
I think I would like to see cohesive Bjergsen and Acadian, like strong push of jungle mid.
Yep.
As far as an early game plan, because that feels like one of the things that's been kind of lacking to me. Is that it does feel like the team is a little bit lacking in direction in game. So I feel like that would be one of the main areas to, like, if they were able to come to a consensus or something as far as really like hammering out their goals to do, especially around mid, both in champ select as far as in game 2.
Yeah. I think if TSM is looking for immediate success, it would be to try and play as close to C9 style as possible. Play mid jungle, leave that bottom lane to, farm out and go be team fighters and try and snowball around to soul laners.
Let Bjergsen carry you to the promised land.
That would be the best attempt, but like clearly I know Zix is not a dummy. Like, I think he knows that. I think he knows they're going to be in playoffs, so they're trying to I think they're just trying to be as versatile as possible, and it's looking pretty rough right now. So yeah, if it really comes down to it and they need a win, I think they'll play around Bjergsen. But all right, that's a lot of TSM.
All right, back to the playoffs line.
Yeah.
Golden Guardians, Optic,
pick your
Clutch,
2.
and 100 Thieves.
Because we know the strength of schedules. 100 Thieves plays Clutch and CLG. Clutch plays 100 Thieves and Golden Guardians. Golden Guardians plays C9 and Clutch. And Optic plays CLG and C9, which is the hardest schedule.
Golden Guardians and Optic are coming in with a game up on both of on Clutch and 100 Thieves.
Yeah.
But they also both have to play Cloud9.
Yeah.
CLG is also I
think Golden Guardians.
I think CLG is a really tough opponent. So as far as the strength of schedule, I'd say Clutch has the easiest strength of schedule because they just play 2 of the other teams that are in the line that they're fighting, and they don't have to play the CLG or the C9.
Yeah, it also gets complicated because head-to-heads matter a lot, right? So like I could see 100 Thieves beating Clutch, losing to CLG, Optic going 0-2, and 100 Thieves being tied with Optic. I'm not actually sure what the head-to-head is there. I think Golden Guardians is going to get in because like
They looked really good last week.
They looked good last week. They're up a game, and I think that like I would be betting on them to beat Clutch. I think that C9 is more of an outside chance at a win, but like I'm expecting them. Like I'm just looking at these strength schedules, and I'm like, okay, I expect you to go 1-1. If they go 1-1, they're in, right? You know, that should be the 9th win, and they should be safe. I think based on you know the records that we have for the teams, and I think that 100 Thieves maybe would be the other one I bet on. I think Optic could go 0-2, but then it just depends on the tiebreaker because Optic will still have 8 wins. I don't think Clutch or 100 Thieves will go 2-0, but it is possible.
Yeah, I honestly think we're gonna have tiebreakers.
Yeah,
There's almost no way we don't get some type of tiebreakers. Just thinking about the different scenarios, here's some like far out things that I think could happen. I think it is within the realm of possibility that Optic actually makes it.
Yeah.
Even though they have the hardest schedule, because
I mean they could make it even off 0-2 potentially.
they looked really good in week 7. I think they misread patch 9.14 with the Aatrox stuff we talked about before, at least as it relates to the way their players' strengths are.
Dokla!
Just like Dokla playing the Aatrox,
He had
man.
back-to-back
He's so good
all-star
at
like
it.
dunking games on Aatrox.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, back to Poppy, brother.
I think they're going to play it again if it's open. I really do. I really hope. I think they do. And yeah, and like even without it, they were up on TL. Like this team has been able to put together very strong performances throughout the year. And I don't think it's necessarily been directly correlated to, oh, they played bad teams or they played good teams. So they're a team that can put it together and win some games. I don't expect it. I expect Clutch to actually beat 100 Thieves, and then, as you say, it'll really come down to that Golden Guardians game because they had a lot of momentum coming in as well. So, yeah, any of the 4 teams could make it, and I know that you won't, like we would probably want a more definitive answer, like definitely these 2, so that I can go and look like an idiot later. But I'll probably say pick and 2. I think because Clutch has been so good against the bottom 6 of the league, I think Clutch will make it. And Golden Guardians will make it, and we'll see some weird tiebreaker stuff.
Yeah. I think I'm with you on that. Golden Guardians is what I already said, and the more I think about
But
it,
maybe that's impossible because they play each other. Like Clutch plays Golden Guardians. It's really just that's why
Nothing is impossible.
because that could just be
way.
could just be pushed into tiebreakers, right?
we'll have the foldy sheet to explain it all.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get into tiebreakers for sure. I'm just looking at it. I'm like, yeah, I think there's gonna be some teams tied at 8 for the final spot.
And this is doubly meaningful because for teams that didn't make playoffs in the spring, this is their only path to Worlds as well, is making playoffs. Otherwise, they don't have any championship points to get into the gauntlet. So even more pressure.
I mean, maybe a more interesting way to do it is actually look at the matchups that they have.
Okay.
Clutch versus 100 Thieves is going to be an actual game that they have to play.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, this is like
Who's winning
something
that one because you say Clutch is so good to get up below the line.
Yeah, so I mean, Clutch. This is the stat that I had been looking at last week, where it's like so going into the CLG game was their last chance to win a game against a top 4 team. They lost that game.
They're 0-8.
They're 0-8 against TSM, Liquid, C9, CLG. All their wins are against these other teams, and they're consistently beating them. So they have to play 2 of those other teams. I think that is definitely possible, but if they 2-0, they should just be in for sure. If they 1-1, it should be tiebreakers. Golden Guardians, I think, is performed very well last week. I think that there's a decent chance that they get a win, but even if they lose, I think at 8 wins, you're already going to be getting tiebreakers. Freak was saying he thinks that for sure a team based on the records is getting in with 8 wins.
He said that before Sunday of last week, though, when we saw like a ton of upsets.
Yeah, that's definitely
Back
true.
to this matchup, though, whoever loses it is actually pretty doomed. This is between Clutch and 100 Thieves.
Because they go to 7 and 10.
Yeah. So like
I think 100 Thieves is doomed.
Death sentence now?
There it is.
Is it because Clutch have played Qiyana and the Qiyana is going up as you predicted earlier?
I mean, I just think that Clutch play a very similar way against all the teams that they play against. I think that they have like a pretty explosive play style, and they do really crazy creative stuff, and they force the other team to be able to answer and react appropriately. The teams at the top of the league are able to, it feels like, withstand their blows and adjust and answer them, and then they kind of fall apart. when the game is more on even keel, I feel like. But a lot of the worst teams in the league don't seem to have the same kind of level of fortitude where, Clutch is actually trying these crazy plays and it feels like teams start to fall apart, like against some of the less stable rosters. And I think that is kind of shown to be true throughout most of the split. And I think that's the biggest reason for their record is that these top teams are more stable, have better shot calling, have better answers to what Clutch is actually trying to pull off.
I think the matchups are so interesting.
Okay.
Because they're so different, right? For the side of Clutch, like you have the Cody Sun versus his old team, and Bang has actually been doing so much better. Has been a big part of 100 Thieves resurgence. So that's going to be a huge test, mentally as well as just in-game performance. And like you're talking about, kind of the style of Clutch, Ryu has come in for 100 Thieves and balanced everything out for them. But Damonte is the assassin player, the Qiyana player, even with the Zed and everything. So they're going to try and have one of these all-in looking for kills type of mid laners, you would think, if they want to continue with that strategy. They did pull a little bit off. They have gotten a little bit softer recently for Clutch in the last weekend. Like they didn't go completely early game only, dive assassins only. So they bounced it a little bit, but I'm especially excited to see about this bottom lane because it's like Cody Sun with his new home.
Yeah, the bottom lane matchup will be cool. Azale reminded me I have a Clutch rant that I didn't get to say during the
rant away.
Gather around.
Yes. Just because G2 won MSI doesn't mean you can just pick random stuff and say you're innovating. Like, I like the attempt to innovate, but when you last pick Zed into Skarner, Yuumi, Karma, you're bad. Like, innovating and flexing picks is good if you're doing it for an intelligent reason, not just to do it for a surprise factor. Like, there is a way to innovate that is good that I don't think Clutch has necessarily been doing. I actually like this team more when they play standard. I thought their game against FlyQuest, where they did Azir mid, Sivir bot, Akali top, and they snowballed around their best player in Huni, they smashed. I actually think all they have to do is, sure, you can have this pocket stuff like a Zed. Do not force it into shields and tanks.
Don't put Cody Sun on Zed.
Right? Don't do that. Didn't he say somewhere?
Hey, the last time they played Zed, they kept it in Damonte's hands, okay?
That's true.
That's improvement.
Yeah, it's just play good compositions. Good compositions does not mean standard compositions. You can play stuff that is not common, but don't play uncommon stuff into known counters and say that this is what G2 does. G2 does it smartly. Like, G2 picks good flex picks and winning lanes and good team fight or split push team compositions. So it's a similar analogy to basketball when Golden State started winning by shooting threes. Everyone just started shooting threes, whether or not their personnel were fit to do so. I think Clutch needs to play properly around their personnel. With smart team compositions. And then they'll be fine. I think they'll make playoffs.
They got their big Qiyana win, which got a lot of eyeballs and everyone going like, oh my God, they're doing this. And Cody Sun did the interview, of course, which also helped, where he's like, all right, we decided we're all going to be aggressive. We're going to create some chaos and we're going to thrive in it. And we're going to get these early leads. That was into a Sivir Tahm Kench lane, which, is pretty defensive, spell shields, Tahm Kench as well.
This is the Qiyana win?
This is the Qiyana win. It was versus Optic for them. And Optic was, top of the table team at the time. There's no super hard counters in that, but that was kind of the gambit going all in on early game. And you're against an Azir, so that's a good time, try and punish him early and try and win that game, right?
You pick Qiyana. So you pick Qiyana with Rek'Sai, early game jungler, snowballing mid laner. Sweet. Right? You already have early game. All right, Lucian can be good against Sivir. Good job. Right? There's nothing here that screams to me that this is a bad innovation. Right? So that's the stuff I want more of.
Exactly.
I also just say that Huni has actually been, I think, quietly playing a lot better this split. I think in spring it felt like he had been playing pretty poorly.
Mhm.
And actually, even last year, all the way back to last year's Rift Rivals, he had really not been playing that well. And I do feel like he is starting to perform better. And getting maybe not quite back to the high highs that he has had, but even in some of the losses, he has been having some more admirable games. I think his Nico game in a loss he had some actually really nice plays on there as well. So I do think it is something where it's like, partially when he's playing against some of the lower teams as well, perhaps they're not as good at answering Huni, because he does have all these picks, and he does often actually draw quite a few bans as well. Like we're seeing Cassio get banned against him. Sometimes Rumble is getting banned against him because he's picking that so much. So it is a bit of a different champion pool, and he's actually playing it pretty effectively these days.
And as for like the clutch style of them going super aggressive, all these like melee assassins.
Yeah.
The last 2 games, Azir, Corki, or
Boom.
Devontae.
You know what happened? They won one of those games.
They won both.
Really?
I think they went 2-0.
No, they went 1-1, I think.
The Games of Legends is showing them 2-0 last week.
Yeah, I think it has it backwards though, because it's showing all the CLG members as on
Yeah.
the team.
There was this weird.
It put them as CLG to give them a win.
Yeah. They
Like
became
some weird
CLG.
entrance error on that.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. But yeah, they went 1-1, I believe. But I do think it's like, even when they are playing standard picks, they do kind of still have this like Huni craziness, and they have, and Demonte seems like that sort of type of player as well.
Yeah.
So, I think it's like, to your point, you can kind of give your own flavor to even standard picks, right?
Yes.
Like through playstyle. It doesn't always have to be the most wacky stuff.
All right, so Clutch is winning that. We sentenced 100 Thieves to death? Is that what just happened?
I think that is what just happened. I don't think 100 Thieves.
I think 100 Thieves have a really good chance, actually.
Oh, do you?
I do.
Why?
I think Amazing has been playing so well, actually. I mean, people have focused very heavily on his leadership aspects because they like the content that 100 Thieves are putting out, and he's giving some inspirational speeches, and he really helped turn the team around that way. But I think his actual jungle play has been very good too. And I've been on the fence for Lyra. I mean, there have been improvements in a lot of the recent games, but I'm still not super convinced by that. So I can completely see Amazing, getting off like multiple successful ganks for this game, and just setting it up for 100 Thieves to roll ahead. So I definitely wouldn't sentence them right now.
I just feel like Fake God versus Huni is going to be really hard if Clutch plays a focused.
His patented style, though, lose lane, win game.
Can't wait for another one of those tweets.
Didn't he actually have a pop-off game last weekend, though?
Yeah, win lane, win game.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and then he tweeted about that one, too. He was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
It's funny, too, because last time these two teams played, you can't even really look back on it. A, because it was so long ago, and B, because it was Someday and Soligo.
Yeah.
Right? So it is the different roster. Excited for that. I definitely think it's going to be Golden Guardians of Clutch. That's where I'm placing my bets. But
I guess I'm the same. Damn, that's boring.
But I mean, at the same time, I think the way that they would make it in is through tiebreakers. So that can go any way. Like, because I think Optic has a very high chance of O2ing and being put into a tiebreaker at their 8 wins because of their strength of schedule. But then they very likely get to play against
there could be some like three-way
or someone else
tiebreaker or something.
So even with by far the hardest strength of schedule, Optic can still make it in, losing both their games and then beating one of their opponents that's around them in the standings.
Awesome.
I mean, you guys both go with Golden Guardians and Clutch. Then I would easily go with Optic and 100 Thieves.
Easily.
Yeah. I think Optic last weekend, blunder. Big blunder in the
C9 CLG.
I'm going to say the coaching staff there to give up one of their biggest strengths from, Dokla, which completely changed this team, right? Because they were leaving him on an island, and he's 2v1ing dunking people with Aatrox.
It was a nice, happy tropical island.
Yeah, he was having
his coconut drink.
Great vacation over there, running everybody else off the island, actually. And with that side, Arrow and Big started to play super aggressively. I like how that looked, even though they lost the game last weekend. So I think that they could easily come back. And yes, they have the hardest schedule, CLG and C9. That is really difficult. But I could see them getting a win off one of those teams, and that puts them at 9.
Yeah.
If they get a win off one of those teams, they're probably in.
Yeah.
I think that they could get in, but if they get in, it would be through tiebreakers. I think they're going to 0-2.
None of these 4 teams should be going into this week thinking doom and gloom.
Yeah, definitely
All
not.
of them have the ability to win and make it in because either they're playing each other and they can knock each other down, or they're in Optic shoes where winning, since they started with more wins, will get them there.
Yeah, I mean, so many of these teams, really only Optic is like they don't get to play their competition. All the other 3 teams get to play their competition, and even Optic, chances are they would get a tiebreaker before they go out. So I think it's going to be really, really exciting going into this weekend. Also pretty cool, CLG, mentioned them briefly as one of the opponents, but they are competing for a bye. And I think that is, really, really crazy to actually see this total transformation of the team. Now that they've gotten Ruin, a lot of the members are playing better. Wiggly's having a great season. It feels like things are really kind of working well for the team. Do you guys think they're going to be able to hold on and get that bye?
Yes.
Honestly, I do.
And I will not curse them any further than, no, I'm just kidding.
Freak said if they get a bye, they're guaranteed to win the championship, so they cannot be more cursed than that.
The 2 times they've had a bye, they've won the title.
Yeah.
So really,
they've already been the maximum amount of cursed, and it's Freak's fault. So you can curse them.
Yeah. I mean, you say it's so crazy to see for them, but like they have had draft improvements, they've had team play improvements, they've had individual player improvements. It seems like a completely upward trend for CLG.
I just mean the reversal from this has been a somewhat lowly team for a couple of years now, and just being able to swap that around during one split. Not that it doesn't make sense within the context of the split because they've looked great.
Yeah.
More just like it's not that often that a team goes from pretty poor team to competing for the very, very top. I think that's really impressive. And without there having been some like blown up rosters for C9 and TSM, they have just actually improved so much. So they've just gotten better than some of these other absolute top teams.
Yeah, it's also the way that other teams often say they strive to be good. Because when if we were to compare them to TSM, where TSM's like, we're trying to win in different ways and make sure that we're flexible, I feel like COD is flexible. Right? I look at the drafts that they've been taking and they pick lane dominant bottom lanes, or they pick Tom Kench, or they pick, I guess the only thing they haven't done is assassin mids because PoA is usually on a control mage. That's the one kind of predictable thing about their game. But even within those predictable picks, he has a different flavor of champion that he plays mid to control. So they are winning by playing through several different lanes with several different strategies of champions. So even contrasting them to TL, who, even though TL has won faster, has consistently said that they win by focusing on their style and being really good at that one thing, and they just drive that. That can clearly be successful, but I don't know, it's pretty rare in LCS, at least in the last couple of years, for a team to be versatile and good, and it looks like that's what COD is starting to put together.
Yeah, I mean, they have 100 Thieves and Optic as their last 2 games. I would bet on them going 2-0. Sure, it's not guaranteed, but they're already sitting at 11 wins. That's 13, and conceivably, if Liquid has a bad last weekend, you could even get first, right? Like if Liquid loses to TSM and beats Echo Fox and you 2-0, you're tied for first. Even just the possibility of that is really cool. But they are also up 1 game on Cloud9, who has Optic and Golden Guardian. So the 2 teams have comparable strength of schedule, but you're up a game. So certainly I think also potential for tiebreaker there if CLG stumbles at all and C9 has a good week. So I think there's a lot of tiebreakers potentially on the horizon.
Yeah. If we have, more than 3 tiebreakers, games get played on Monday as well. Yeah. For people setting their schedules if they want to see the hypest matches in the best league, tune in Monday.
This just reminded me of that meme, the like hangs out with the chillest dudes.
I was almost going that way, yeah. I was thinking of what else I could say, but I couldn't go through it. Yeah.
The chillest league with the hottest casters. All right. Well.
Yeah. I couldn't go full into it though.
It would have been.
You gotta commit.
It would have been good. It would have been good.
I'm just like half.
We'll forgive you. It's your first episode back.
Man.
You're just warming into it.
Rust.
Yeah. All right. So Twitter questions, gents. All right. First one here from Volleyboss says, if you put one character from another video game in League, who would it be? What would their abilities be?
I always like trying to put Link into video games. So I think I would put Link from Zelda into League of Legends, and he would definitely have the instant AoE sword thing.
Oh yeah,
spinning the sword with
he could chop down the brushes
magic against it. Yeah, he could be a lawnmower.
Yeah, he can chop out in the brushes.
Then he could find money in the brushes too. Or he could like pick up bombs from the brush and throw bombs.
Man.
He'll have a boomerang. This one writes itself.
I would
This
play
is pretty
that.
easy. He's got the hook shot too.
You already have the whole kit.
All right, that's the whole kit right
Yeah.
there. Boom.
All right, I can't beat that. That's a hard question. I don't have anything great for this. I've thought about it before.
Didn't you have to like do that for your like design a champion for your?
Yeah, but they weren't just like go look at another video game's IP and which one fits best in our. Like that's not a question. You're trying to do original stuff. I would say one of the characters that I'd love playing the most was like a Hammer Warrior from Guild Wars. I've thought about it. I can't make it fit into
Yeah,
League.
a lot of Guild Wars stuff.
Yeah, I can't make that kit fit. Those kits fit into League with just like the pacing of the game. But some type of like hammer dude who has a lot of like knockdown and CC. And there's one ability that was super cool on Warriors and Guild Wars that I just once again I can't make it fit into League. But it's like it was called Bull Strike, and it's just a swing, right? But if they are moving, they are knocked down.
Mm-hmm.
If they stand still, they're not knocked down. It's just a normal hit. So I'd love to see something like that in League, but
yeah, there's not many things that force you to like press S for a good reason in League.
Yeah.
You should always be moving.
I'm trying to think if there's nothing really. Yeah. So for me, I would actually, because this is something I've actually wanted in League for a long time, I would steal something maybe from Dota. Just I think the idea of having like true pet classes. Like I think League does have pet stuff, and they've done some combined characters like Lamb and Wolf, but really you're just playing Lamb and Wolf. It's kind of just there. Annie, yes, you can control the ultimate, but it's not a true character. Like Lone Druid is something that I always really enjoyed because like I've played pet classes in WoW and pet classes in lots of games, Meepo as well. I think just the idea of like Phantom Lancer, these sorts of things where it's like you're actually truly controlling a lot of different stuff at once and they're equally important parts. I think that is really cool, more than just like the press R, set it and forget it. So that is something that I've always wanted League to have and would love to see in the game. Sweet. All right, we got another question here from Old Faithful, David Peterly.
Is that how you say it?
I think so.
It is.
He also
confirmed it.
It's not Paturly.
He confirmed it.
He also said he's coming to LCS and asked for a picture, and we're gonna get a picture
I'm
of
down.
you because you have sent us about
David
1,000
Peterly.
questions. Aatrox was 90% pick ban this week and was matched against Kled, Poppy, Renekton, Kennen, and Camille with 66% win rate, losing Camille and Renekton. What do you think about state of Aatrox? I guess we already kind of went into this, but healing too strong, balance, should it still be high priority next week?
Yeah, we talked a long time on
Yep.
Aatrox. I think he's very strong. A lot of it is with the self-healing because it's hard to take him down at all. And he still has all the big AoE that you want for the team fight.
I think that right now there are actually things you can pick against him, so blinding him isn't as good. Like a well-played Kennen or a well-played Kled can probably beat him in lane. I would not be surprised if he gets nerfed, though, because he's basically been meta for a year and a half.
Yeah, and he's overly represented in North America
Yes.
compared to the rest of the world. So that's super interesting to see because they're always looking at worldwide for balance.
Yep.
And it's funny that we did get to see, like I talked about it in the game too, but we saw the, like, to me, perceived like the intended designer counter pick of like, this is super strong healing guy. And we just added 60% healing debuff
reduction
guys. This should be the counter pick.
Yeah.
With the when
I think
Kled
Aatrox
was picked
still
into
won.
Aatrox.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, cool. This is like what the designers were hoping for. You know, like some pick ban 1-2, boom, got you with the counter. And I forget who was playing it. But the player just after the interview after with the player, he was just like, well, I know as long as I don't feed early, then we're just going to win because the only way for them to win with the Kled is to snowball that lane.
Right.
And so he kind of like played a little bit defensively. It was down maybe like 8 CS or something.
Yeah.
And they won the game.
There you go. That's all it took. All right, this one, I'm probably going to butcher the name, from Real Ed Crikey. I don't know. If you disregard what team they are on and they would make playoffs, what 3 players from each role would you love to see go to Worlds to represent NA? So essentially making your 3 strongest players from each role. I guess this is basically what's your all-pro.
Similar. Man, this could take a long time to answer.
You can choose one role. We'll each do one role. How about that? Off the top of my head, for mid lane, I want to say Bjergsen, Jensen, Niski.
So I'm going to answer this a little differently. I'm going to send TL. Like I'm not going to go and send first team.
Because they're all going to be in the top 3. So
Yeah.
So everyone from TL
What
is going.
3 player from each role?
So essentially just the 3 strongest players from each role instead of just teams. So independent of the teams. But TL is a great answer because they do have players that are all going to be all pro.
And
Right?
it's also like, do you only want them based on strength or also for entertainment value? Like, is there a player that you just really want to see on the world stage sort of thing?
Yeah.
I find winning entertaining. So
Yeah. At this rate, like there is so much about trying to specifically play around like one style and one team that makes it really hard for me to not just say that I want to see CLG C9 and TL go. If I'm being completely honest, like
so you're saying, but like, so you think they have the 3 strongest players in each role essentially?
well, for the team,
Okay.
right? That's
But this is supposed to be just player, right?
What
We're not
team
talking about
did not
strongest
have
teams.
the 3 strongest players in a role?
No. He said he listed 3 teams, 3 full
Oh,
teams, right?
uh-huh.
So we're saying the 3 players from each role. So I guess you can just choose. It doesn't have to be based on.
Okay,
Yeah.
this is going to be way
Okay.
too long, or else
Yeah.
just the top 3 things.
Yeah.
Is there any out of the top 3 teams that you think like deserves to be moved up and sent?
yeah.
or something?
That's a good question.
Bjergsen.
It's true. He's not in one of the top
There you
3
go.
teams.
You want to see him in
Boom.
groups again? He's the one that deserves another shot at World.
Does anybody get the entertainment value?
Hooney,
Honestly, even DeMonte for me.
you want to see some Qiyana at World? Well, I think we'll see some.
I would
guys have
say
anyone outside
I'd
the
say
top 3?
Froggen is a good one. Hanser's a good one.
Yeah.
Crown has played
Crown,
well.
Meteos is a good one.
Ooh. Yeah, I'll send Mitos to Worlds. That'd be sweet.
What about from Academy? Someday's a good one.
Jukes. We'll send Jukes to Worlds.
Yeah.
All right.
Entertainment value.
I think that is going to do it for our entertainment value for today. And that's going to do it for this episode. Tune in this weekend. It's the last of our normal split week
9
of games.
Yeah.
on the dive.
The outros have gotten better.
We get to see who locks in playoffs. I'm super excited. We probably going to have a bunch of tiebreakers as well. So maybe tune in on Monday as well.